Holy fucking shit, that was fucking badass, man. That was fucking Vessel of Light with Last Ride. Dude, let's call this motherfucker up right the fuck now and see what the fuck is going on in his world, man. Hello, Dan.
Zach.
Dan, can you hear me?
Hear me? Yes, sir.
Dude, what's going on, man?
My first Skype call.
Well, you are live right now on the Zach Moonshine show with Metal Devastation fucking radio, dude.
Oh man, you're gonna curse right off the bat. And here I am. I'm trying to watch all the F-bombs, and you're like coming right out of the gate with curses.
Right out of the gates, dude. So tell us, man, what's going on in the world of Vessel of Light?
Well, there's this thing called, I don't know if you've heard about it, the news mentioned the coronavirus, and that put a lot of things as far as live shows on hold. But the good thing is they couldn't make it illegal for us to release a brand new record, CD, cassette, and vinyl. That's still legal. I know the government is really frowning upon us having any fun right now. So we were playing a little East Coast run in March, and we had to shut everything down when the coronavirus happened. And before that, we were not planning on releasing a record until like early 2021, but with the shutdown, Jimmy Shulman, my bass player, and Ron Lipnicki and Nathan Opposition, they had a little more time to write and record, to write what I had written the music to. I laid down all my guitars first, so we released our fourth album October 23rd, which was a few months ahead of schedule because of the shutdown.
Well, for what it's worth, man, I'm glad you guys put it out because it's fucking badass and I fucking love it, dude.
I really appreciate that, and I agree with you.
Yeah, man. Can you tell us about the recording process of this record? Like, what was it like? What did you guys do?
Well, so the first Vessel of Light EP, Nathan and I recorded it together in Cleveland. And then I was driving out there for a rehearsal and then recording. And then I'm like, man, Cleveland's like an 8-hour drive. So with Woodshed, our second album, Thy Serpent Rise, our third album, and Last Ride, our brand new album, the recording process is I record everything to a click track, all the guitars first. It's the very first thing that happens up in Pomona, New York. I go record. And then I send the MP3s to everybody, and they write their parts. So after I'm done recording, like I basically was finished recording the album almost like a year ago. And then, Ron thinks of his parts, the bass player Jimmy thinks of his parts, and Nathan thinks of his parts. So I recorded the music to 17 songs, Zach. And Ron and Jimmy recorded, their parts to 15 of those songs. And Last Ride was the first 10 songs that Nathan was inspired enough to write lyrics and melody lines to. So there is actually 7 more songs, out there and available. Not out there, but at least out there as far as Vessel of Light is concerned. Like, I've been writing more than I ever have in my whole life. It's just become easier and easier. And it's kind of frustrating because I really, we could get going on a 5th record right now, but I think the world is not ready for that. The world needs to get a little more promotion and hear and purchase Vessel of Light's newest album, Last Ride.
Hell yeah, man. So that's fucking crazy, man. So like the whole band pretty much builds everything around your guitar riffs.
Yeah, and you didn't record like this in the old days. In the old days, in the 80s and the 90s, it was always like myself and the drummer, and when we would record myself and the drummer, you had to hope to God the drummer was going to do everything perfect because you weren't done recording your scratch guitars until the drums were finished, and then once the drums were finished, you'd layer on top of that. But it's really amazing, and I remember before I did recorded Woodshed this way, I was discussing this recording with Bobby Blitz from Overkill. I did a record with Blitz in 2007. I don't know if you're familiar with it, called The Cursed Room Full of Sinners.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it sounds like, Vessel of Light sounds like nonfiction. It sounds like me with Blitz singing low and bluesy. That was The Cursed.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a great record. But anyway, Blitz is like, be careful recording to a click. Make sure you don't lose that, traditional Lorenzo swing movement. And I was like, oh, shit. So theoretically, I guess I could record the whole album, and then Nathan could record the drums, and it would be like shit. But everything turned out so damn well, and I was so excited with how we did Woodshed and how easily it came together while Nathan's in Cleveland and I'm here in Jersey, that, you know, from now on, this is just the way we do it. I mean, it's really, really easy. It works for me because I arrange the songs what I think would be best, and I give Nathan the opportunity to switch things around if he needs to, but he basically seems to get used to whatever he hears. You know, the way I record it first is the way he kind of writes to it. So I don't believe I've ever released 4 records in 3 years, and I would have to, I mean, I know I haven't. And I think a lot of it has to go with the fact that every time I hand in music to Nathan, he keeps coming up with lyrics and melody lines that kick my ass, and it gets me so like stoked. It inspires me to continue writing more.
Hell yeah. That's fucking cool, man. So you and Overkill do have some history, because I was actually gonna ask you about that, because I saw on Facebook, I don't know, a few weeks ago, Overkill shared your fucking shared your link, and they were talking about it, and I was like, dude, that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah. So Overkill's from New Jersey. You know, Blitz and Dee Dee grew up in, or really, Dee Dee lived in the city for a while, but now he's back in Jersey. And Blitz grew up like maybe 5 miles north of where I am now. And they were big supporters of, in the early 90s, my band Nonfiction. So we toured, Nonfiction toured Europe and America with Overkill in 1993. And I guess about 7 or 8 or 9 years later, Hades got back together, and Ron Lipnicki, he discovered Hades. He's a big Hades fan, and he saw an ad in the paper we had looking for a drummer. So Ron played on the very last Hades CD, which is called Damnation, and then he played on 3 of my solo CDs. And then Ron got cancer, actually, right before we did my first solo CD. So after Ron got rid of his cancer, Blitz was at my house one year, and I was having a Super Bowl party, and Blitz met Ron, and I told him, like, man, this guy's the best drummer if you ever need anybody. So Blitz calls me up, I'll never forget it, on a Sunday night, like, hey, man, we're leaving for Europe Thursday, and our drummer quit. How's that guy Ron? I'm like, oh, my God, Ron is 4 days. So they auditioned Ron, and they got him a passport within 4 days, and 4 days later he was touring Europe with Overkill. And then he was their drummer for 9 years, So we went from Hades to Overkill. And then when Overkill was done, I'm like, let me take Ron back. When Ron was done with Overkill, I should say. And he started jamming with Vessel of Light.
Wow. That's fucking impressive, man. Like, for a drummer, too, like, how the fuck do you learn that many fucking songs that fucking quick? Because, like, they got all kinds of shit,
Ron
man.
knows so many songs. Like, Ron will just call out a song at rehearsal. It could be an old Twisted Sister song, an Aerosmith song. I mean, he knows a lot of Southern rock. He's in, like, 10 different bands. He just loves music. He knows all different styles, and I know he knows how to write music as a drummer, which I don't even understand it, but he charted it out. So for the first few shows, he was charting out the music for the Overkill songs he wasn't familiar with, and he told me one night he was looking at his charts, and all the lights went black, and he couldn't see his charts, so he was just winging it, But Ron is a really talented guy, and he has coronavirus this week, and he feels, Zach, it's pretty horrible because Ron used to jog 5 miles a day. Mm-hmm. Now he has coronavirus. He's jogging 10 miles a day because he's not allowed to go to work.
Damn.
Until he gets rid of it, But he feels great. He lost his sense of taste and smell for about 7 days, and he got his wife sick, and she was really, really worried about it, but she feels better now already, too. So Ron felt great throughout the whole thing, and his wife just felt a little bit tired.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll pull out of it, man.
Yeah, they're fine. They're already on the path to being, done with it.
Hell yeah, dude. So let me ask you, man. As far as like your influences, what got you into playing metal and doing this?
That's the stock answer, man. Kiss Alive, Kiss Rock and Roll Over, Ace Frehley. I got into them and Aerosmith. Aerosmith rocks and Aerosmith, Tours in the Attic back when I was in high school, 1977, 78. I started playing guitar. And then by the end of high school senior year, Kiss got kind of corny, so I moved on to AC/DC Highway to Hell was my favorite album. And then after that, I discovered Judas Priest, and that starts the trajectory towards, Metallica and Slayer. But I feel like the band that influenced me the most was a band I didn't even really love until well after high school, was Black Sabbath. The only thing with me is I'm super straight, Zach. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't really party. But I have a really short attention span, so I always think of my songwriting is kind of like Black Sabbath-esque with Ramones song lengths. I don't write like these long jams. I write 3.5-minute Kiss songs with a verse and a chorus and a guitar solo maybe, and I want the verse and chorus to be catchy. And I don't really do any like meandering on the guitar. It just doesn't interest me. So I would say Black Sabbath is the biggest influence, but I don't enjoy 7-minute songs for the most part.
Hell yeah. When I first started playing Vessel of Light on the show, a lot of folks were saying that they could hear like a little bit of Alice in Chains type vibe in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm 58 years old in a few weeks, so I'm not going to be influenced by Alice in Chains, but Nathan's 20 years younger than me, and he definitely loves Alice in Chains, and he loves Typo Negative. So Nathan, because he's so much younger than me, he has we'll call it somewhat newer influences, and definitely on the song There's No Escape, as soon as he sang it, I'm like, that's a lot like an Alice in Chains melody line, or harmony, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually opened up for Alice in Chains in front of 126 paid people with my old band Nonfiction when right before Man in the Box broke as a single. But I do love Alice in Chains Dirt. I love their acoustic stuff. I'm not crazy about a lot of their other stuff, although my wife really loves them with the new singer almost as much as Lane. I think Lane had one of the greatest voices of all time, but I think I write more like note riffs as opposed to Jerry wrote, chord songs. Jerry's one of the greatest songwriters ever, but to me, he plays chords where I write riffs, and I write, riffs based around single notes,
Yeah. I can definitely hear the Typo Negative too in it now that you mention it, man.
Yeah, Nathan's loved them, and Pete was calling me a lot before he died. We were starting to talk a lot, but Pete was like, hey, you want to meet me on the city Wednesday night at midnight? I'm like, yeah, Pete, I'm going to bed by like 11:30 on a Wednesday night because I got work the next day, But Nathan definitely has some younger influences than I do, and he's definitely like listens to bands I never heard of where I grew up, and I think I'm influenced by the stuff I grew up on, and whether it's Black Sabbath or Kiss or whatever, even though it doesn't sound anything like Kiss, it's just the kind of feel for what I'm going for, as far as it's like a catchy verse and a catchy chorus.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, yes, that's another thing. Like, it's definitely catchy, man, and that's one of the things that I really like about this album is that these songs, you can sing along to them, and they're fucking, you're forced to, like, you can't help it, man. When you're jamming out to it and you're listening to it, you just cannot help fucking to start nodding your head banging, and fucking singing along.
Don't sing them alone in the car without the music, because you might get arrested because of the lyrics. Nathan writes some pretty crazy fucking lyrics, right?
Fuck yeah, man. So I got some questions for you coming in from the listeners in the chat room, man. Let me see here.
Okay.
JMCT wants to know, what's the craziest thing you've seen while playing on stage?
Craziest thing I've seen. I don't know why this just jumped into my mind, because so it's 1989. I guess I'm 26 years old. I'm touring Europe for the first time, and this woman who was, to me, an old woman, I can just see her now in her German outfit dancing in front of Hades, playing, drunk off her ass, and she was probably like 70 years old, and she was so into it, and it was just, to me, it was comical because I was in, my mid-20s, I guess. I don't know if that's really crazy, but as soon as you asked me that question, that was the first thing that I thought of.
Hell yeah.
Drunken German lady.
Nice. He also wanted to know what your favorite drink is, but you said you're straight edge, right?
Well, I'm not straight edge. My wife and I, we go to Key West a couple times a year, and I'll go to Hog's Breath and have a couple of those, like the Hog's Punch or whatever.
Okay.
Every morning I start my day with either an iced tea, pure leaf iced tea, or a Starbucks iced venti chai with 7 pumps. But after that, I got to drink water, because if I drink any more caffeine after like 6, 7 in the morning, I won't go to bed for 3 days,
Hell yeah, man. I hear you. Another question, let me see here. Lady Red wants to know, have you ever played in Canada, or do you want to?
Of course I want to, and you want to hear this, man? Every time any of my bands had a show booked in Canada, we were denied at the border or told we weren't going to be allowed to come in even before we got to the border. It's such a weird thing because, like, I worship Montreal. Montreal, I could drive there in 5.5 hours. But, I mean, particularly when I had hair down my ass, I mean, to me, I don't know how illegal people come into America so easily. I can't even get into Canada 90% of the times I tried. You know, now that I'm older and I drive a nicer car and my hair is not quite as long, and I don't have a guitar in the back seat, I can get into Canada. I love Canada, particularly Montreal. But unfortunately, I never played a show in Canada, which is just so bizarre because it's not that far away from me.
Really? It's that hard to get in there?
Well, only when you have hair down to your ass, and I remember one of the times they were like, what are you doing? Like, we never had any money, so it's like, what are you doing coming to Canada? Like, oh, we're just hanging out. Why do you have all your equipment here? You here to play a show? No, we just, we want to practice. It was not the easiest place to get into. I remember Zach in the old days touring in Europe, and to go from Germany into Switzerland into Belgium into Holland, you'd have to stop at the border and show your passport and get detained. And even that was like, oh man, are we going to be able to get here? And I remember being denied access to play a show in Paris a few times. We couldn't get into France, from I forget where we were, Belgium or Italy. We couldn't get in. So, I guess, I don't know if this is well before 9/11, but there was always some, difficulties with musicians traveling freely.
Man, that's fucked up. All right.
Yeah.
Another question. JMCT wants to know, what's your favorite venue to play at?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I mean, I have a lot of great memories of playing L'Amour in Brooklyn. Hades used to play there all the time, but that L'Amour is long gone. And then when Nonfiction was happening, there was a place called the Limelight. And I swear to God, Zach, we could play there on a Sunday night. You go on at midnight. Place held maybe 2,200 people, and there'd be 2,200 people there on a Sunday night at midnight waiting for us, so you'd literally walk on stage and your mouth would be so dry because I was so nervous because, I would go on tour and stop getting nervous after 5 days, but when you play a big New York City show, that's always exciting. So whether it was the Ritz or the Limelight or even the Bowery Ballroom, that was the first ever Vessel of Light show. We played the Bowery Ballroom with we opened up for Life of Agony. It's always really exciting playing New York City.
Hell yeah. Another question, is it more fun to play big shows or small venues?
I would I like the festivals in Europe. That's always very cool because they give you such respect. But I am pretty damn fine with a club that holds even 400 or 500 people. There's something about the intimacy. It's definitely a rush playing in front of, thousands upon thousands of people, but it's kind of cool when you can see the faces of half the crowd in a venue that holds only 400 or 500 people. But they both have their pluses and minuses. But the festivals in Europe are so well run. So, sometimes it's like, you fly in, you land at basically 11 o'clock at night, you go to bed, and then the next thing you know, you're at the festival at, maybe 11 in the morning, and you play a 6 o'clock set. And then you're signing autographs for an hour after 7, and you feel kind of like, wow, they care. It's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, man. Another question. Vicky wants to know, what do you prefer, bubble baths or showers?
Man, Vicky, I haven't taken a bath since I don't know, maybe I was 10 or 11 years old. I'm definitely a shower guy. I mean, my wife and I are always thinking it's kind of weird sitting in a bath with your own filth. I mean, I don't understand the bath concept. I mean, I guess it's fun if you're a little kid and you got Mr. Bubbles to play with, but I'm definitely a shower guy, Vicky. Thanks for asking, though.
Another question, how many instruments can you play?
I think some people would say I can play 0 because I'm not really a great guitar player. I consider myself a songwriter, but we're going to say I can play the guitar.
Oh, shit,
I can pluck out a few notes. I can play the bass, I think, really well because I think I play like a bass player. And my wife bought me a harmonica a few years ago, and I really didn't master that. So, I mean, really just bass and guitar.
Well, you're fucking ripping it, in my opinion, dude.
Thank you, thank you. It's all smoke and mirrors. I can play my own stuff very well, and I can play the stuff I grew up on, but I can't play some of the stuff that I used to write even in Hades. It's so fast, and my wrist is killing me from either playing basketball or doing push-ups, or just because I'm getting older. But yeah, I think I play what I play what I write pretty well. But thank you.
Yeah. Another question from the listeners: what's one band or musician you'd really love to jam with one day?
Well, Phil Anselmo, and I'll tell you a story about him. Phil, we opened up for Pantera when I was in the band Nonfiction in 1991, I believe it was, in New York City after the Cowboys from Hell tour. And then they flew me out to Los Angeles to do interviews, and it was either 92 or 93, and I bumped into Phil in the hallway, and I said, "Hey, Phil, I'm Dan from the band Nonfiction." He's like, "I know who the hell you are." And he started singing me one of my songs, a Nonfiction song, at the top of his lungs in a hallway in a Los Angeles hotel. And my wife's a big Pantera, Phil Anselmo fan, so I really would like for Phil to hear our stuff. And I think he would love Vessel of Light, and I think he and I could really come up with a great record together as well.
Yeah, man, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if he heard this record, I'm sure he's probably heard it by now, or he should, man.
I don't know, man. Blitz from Overkill, like you said, they were nice enough to give us a really good plug, but there's not a lot of bands out there who are looking to really say promote us, But whatever, but if you can help, if Mr. Moonshine's audience can help Phil Anselmo here, the new Vessel of Light record, Last Ride, or any Vessel of Light record, that would be awesome, because I know he used to love Nonfiction. And he loved Ancient Wisdom, which is Nathan's other band, Ancient Wisdom, out of Cleveland.
Oh yeah, man. We'll see what we can do, man, for sure.
Thank you, Zach.
Another question: how long is your hair now? Vicky wants to know.
Well, you can look at my Instagram, which is Dan Lorenzo CK. I just got back from Miami this morning, so there's a picture. I guess if it was, it's not down my back anymore, but it's still, they consider it long for up here. But it's, it's like, remember how the Beatles got yelled at for having long hair when they first came out and their hair looked short? So you can check it out on my Instagram, Dan Lorenzo CK, or Vessel of Light Music on Instagram. And we also have a Facebook page, as you know, Vessel of Light Band.
Hell yeah, dude. For all the gearheads out there, because I know they're wondering, what kind of equipment did you use to get that tone that you're using?
The same equipment I use every time I ever record a record. I go to the studio and I say, plug me in, let's go. So if it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever the studio engineer plugs me into, we start recording at like 5 after 1. It's just, I can plug my guitar into anything and it's going to sound pretty good, I think, because of the riffs I write and for the low tuning and stuff. So this, all the Vessel of Light albums, I used a PV head. I think I used a Mesa Boogie cabinet for one of them, but I never even ask. I just tell the studio guy, plug me into whatever, dude, it's going to sound great. And we spend about 10 to 20 seconds getting my sound, and that's it. I just don't think, I don't go through a lot of effects. I'm not an effects guy. To me, it's like if you write a cool riff, it's going to sound heavy. Whether I'm playing upstairs in my loft in my little pig nose amplifier that's like 30 watts or whatever, just write good songs, write heavy songs, and it's going to sound good.
Oh yeah, man. Another question about the album art, dude, because that is some cool fucking album art, man. How'd you guys come up with that?
Thank you. My bass player actually found that from a really old photo, and we just made some alterations. This guy, Danny Rome, who's on Instagram, he messed around with that. And then his wife took the photos that are on the CD, like there's some graveyard photos, and his Danny Garber's wife took those photos. But I also want to give a shout out to Ruben Barahona, who did our previous album, Vessel of Light, Thy Serpent Rise. He came up with some really cool artwork, and I want to tell everybody that you can buy all of our T-shirts, whether you live in Europe, they sell them out of France, or in America, they sell them out of Philadelphia. There's a company, Zach, called Season of Mist, and they have our album cover T-shirts, album covers and some different designs for Dan Lorenzo, for Hades, for Nonfiction, and for Vessel of Light. There's multiple styles of shirts and hoodies to purchase from Season of Mist if you like the album cover.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Now, also, the band name, Vessel of Light. How did you guys come up with that? Is there a story behind it?
Yeah, Nathan thought of that. So Nathan's a Satanist, and I'm a Catholic boy who goes to church every week. And, I told Nathan, ancient wisdom sings about praising the devil, and I didn't want that in our songs. So Nathan's like, well, what should I write about? And I said, my wife and I, we love the TV show Forensic Files. So there was this story where this guy was basically thought he was super religious, and he thought the world was evil. So he killed his wife and he killed his children because he thought he was like a vessel of light. He was supposed to kill himself, and they would all go to heaven together because the world was so evil. But after he killed his whole family, he took off and got a pseudonym and started a whole nother life. He was copped out of. He was afraid to kill himself. So sort of the vessel of light is kind of meaning like that, where there's just some guy who thinks he's like doing the right thing in the name of religion, but he's doing the worst thing you could possibly do, which is hurt another human being.
Fuck, that's fucking heavy, dude.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, man. So for people out there listening, where can they go to? I know you just mentioned Season of Mist, but where should they go right now if they want to find out?
Season of Mist sells the T-shirts, and there's a record label out of California called Nomad Eel Records, and right now they have CDs and cassettes. We have the new single Foxy Lady with Torture King, which will be our new video soon. December 15th, the Torture King video comes out. But Nomad Eel Records on Bandcamp. And if you look at our Bandcamp, it'll take you right there. Vessel of Light is on Bandcamp. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. And we actually have a brand new video for the song There's No Escape out. We just posted it a couple days ago. It's just a lyric video. You can see us rehearsing from Halloween. And but October 15th, we have a really, really big production video coming out for the song Torture King. But if you Google Vessel of Light or Dan Lorenzo, you will find all of us, I promise you, Zach.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I ordered the cassette tape from Bandcamp, dude, and it's fucking awesome, dude.
Cool.
And
thanks, man.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, that's like the first fucking cassette tape I think I've fucking bought in, I don't know, fucking decades, man.
Yeah, right? Yeah, well, the vinyls, vinyl takes so much longer, so the vinyl of the full album won't be out until, I think, the end of February or early March for Vessel of Light Last Ride. But Vessel of Light, Torture King, and the Jimi Hendrix Foxy Lady cover, that's out right now on Nomad Eel Records.
Yeah, vinyl has made a huge fucking comeback, man. But then again, cassette tapes are sort of making a comeback right now too.
Yeah, I know, man. So it's I was really surprised when he told me, he put out Thy Serpent Rise on cassette, and he said he sold them out quickly, Actually, I think he has a couple more because he printed up some more. But yeah, they're all limited runs. So if you purchase it, not a million people are going to have it. So maybe 10 years from now, you can get like $20 for it,
Well, I think, yeah, right. But I think it's a cool fucking platform though for a lot of bands, right now too, because it's pretty affordable to get a bunch of cassette tapes copied up and made, and then you can actually make a pretty good profit off of it. I would imagine, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh god, we're getting rich off this. Are you kidding me, man? Between that and Spotify, all you got to do is get a million plays. They'll send you $20, man. So yeah, we're money hand over fist with this thing.
Oh god, fucking Spotify, man. Jesus. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, man. I know, and I listen to Spotify.
But that being said, yeah, we want you to listen to us on Spotify. So we want you to do it and we want you to put us on our playlist. But yeah, man, they don't pay. But I'm not doing this for the money, Zach. I'm doing this because I love the music. I love Vessel of Light.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, I'm about out of questions for you. Is there anything else you want to let your fans know?
No, tell Vicky I'm gonna take a bubble bath now and go to bed, man, because I just flew home from Miami, so I'm kind of shot, But thank you for spreading the word on Vessel of Light, Zach. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, before I let you go, I got to get you to make us a station tag, all right?
Oh, my goodness. Surely.
Whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is Vessel of Light, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio."
Hey, this is Dan Lorenzo from the band Vessel of Light, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Fuck yeah, man. Nailed it. All right, dude. Well,
thank you, Zach.
Hey, man, anytime, man. Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us. I know you just got off a
Really
flight.
appreciate it.
You're probably fucking tired, man, but we really appreciate it, dude.
All right, Zach. Have a great evening, brother. Thanks for the support.
All right, man. I'm going to blast some more Vessel of Light for these motherfuckers so they can go crazy, all right?
Do it.
All right, we'll talk to you later, dude. Cheers.
Goodbye. Thanks.
There you have it, folks. Vessel of Light live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation motherfucking radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your fucking windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your fucking neighbor's driveway. I don't care if you gotta fucking walk into your neighbor's house and plant your fucking speaker right there in their fucking living room and tell them to fucking listen to this shit. Because they need to, man. They need to hear it. They need to understand why you're a crazy fucking metalhead and why you won't fucking turn it down. Crank it up, motherfuckers. This is